How are we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on YouTube as well as Facebook Live. With me today, my man, Mr. Idris Salam, aka Bosco from the Bronx. This is part 2, week 3 NFL preview. We have some good ones going down and a couple of teams staring at the potential of going 0-3, so they definitely want to get off the schneid. Chris Dixon, your boys lead the way in that category. I don't think too many people had last year's number 1 seeded Baltimore Ravens as 0-2. However, I did have them missing the playoffs. We are going to get on it second half of the week. Enjoy this intro. We'll be right back.
Oh, I like that intro.
Yeah. Good work. Shouts out John Nass. Thanks for putting that together without even being asked. John's always looking out for us here on the show. Much appreciated.
Oh, yeah.
We are starting this up in Vegas. The Carolina Panthers taking on the Vegas Raiders. Bryce Young has had a very difficult week. His ex-girlfriend was recently seen in Philadelphia with Sixers point guard Tyrese Maxey. And during the same week, he was actually demoted to the bench in favor of the veteran, the Red Rifle, Mr. Andy Dalton. The Panthers have been atrocious. So while I don't like blaming the end-all, be-all bad stuff on one particular player, being that quarterback is the most important position in the NFL, I more than understand why they are making the change. I know there have been flirtations that maybe he would be traded to the Giants because it's still a low-risk deal, kind of like a Trey Lance. I know he's been flirted about getting moved to other teams. I personally think they're just going to try to reset the guy and hope that they could salvage something before he really does become a bona fide bust. But it's unfortunate. You never like to see the young guys go through it on that metric and level because he does seem like a nice enough kid.
Yeah.
He seems to have his head on correctly. But, the NFL is so difficult that, success at that next level is just not a guarantee. And, on the flip side, we have Gardner Minshew. This is a guy that, coming into the year, I think it was a good situation because of the fact that there wasn't true competition behind him. Raiders are coming off a feel-good victory, beating the Ravens after losing week 1 to the Chargers. You just got to hope, if you're a Panther fan, that Dalton could ignite some kind of fluidity on the offense. But quite frankly, I have no reason to believe that the Panthers are going to put up any kind of difference than what we've already seen from them. And I've got the Raiders winning this thing rather handily. Not a complete egregious blowout, but I got the Raiders winning 24-10. I think Dalton will be able to at least engineer 1 touchdown drive. Raiders by 2 touchdowns even.
I'm going to go 24-13. I think they'll get a touchdown and probably a couple of field goals. As for Bryce Young, he seemed like a real good kid. He really does. Even going back to college, real humble guy and everything. And an unfortunate incident, him getting benched and his ex-girlfriend. I think the Carolina Panthers messed up with him. I felt they should never have made a coaching change and had Steve Wilks. I felt they should have kept him and kept McAdoo and maybe let McAdoo work with him specifically. But when they brought Frank Reich in, and Frank Reich's not a bad quarterback coach, may not be a good head coach, good quarterback coach. I think they need to give him one more year with this kid. I mean, he didn't make it through a full season, man, and then he had to switch over. So I'm not gonna put it all on Bryce Young because I did see some games last year where you seen flashes of what he can do. Because he had some moments. I mean, I'm in the Carolina market, so I see all his games. And he had some flashes like, okay, this kid, he got the tools to do it. He don't have the people around him. He don't have that man in his that. Well, he got Dalton there, but I don't think he had that veteran quarterback in his ear saying, do this, try this, calm down. It just don't seem like it. It just seems like they just threw him in the water. You're the number one pick. You're Alabama. We're gonna make you win. You got to win it for us. So I've said I'm not gonna put it all on him. Even I always say that the Alabama quarterbacks don't do well in the NFL, but I think he might just need a new change, man. He might.
Yeah, I think organizationally,
yeah,
when your franchise is constantly changing GMs, constantly changing head coaches.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they're still paying Matt Rule even.
Yeah,
you know, they've been a bad organization, ironically enough, pretty much since Dave Gettleman left. And Gettleman, while he wasn't the best with the Giants, was a little better over there. But
yeah, well, Gettleman put together a Super Bowl team.
Yes, he did. But
yeah,
bad organization, and yes, Cam Newton is better than at least one of 32 current NFL quarterbacks, possibly 5. But as of right now, this is a team that is going to be playing themselves into possibly getting the number 1 pick. This time, Carolina, don't screw it up. On our way to the Pacific Northwest, we have a banged-up Miami Dolphin team missing their quarterback Tua Tagovailoa at 1-1 against the Seahawks, who are undefeated. Skylar Thompson gets the first crack at quarterback with Tua on the IR. His most recent experience was a couple of years ago where he actually started a playoff game. And I wouldn't say he played well, but he gave Miami a chance. Yes. The Seahawks are looking to stay undefeated. And I'll be honest, their 2 wins have not exactly impressed me because they haven't exactly played offensively gifted teams. If Thompson can be competent, the Dolphins will have a chance to compete in this one. Devin Achane should be a full go for this one. Mm-hmm. Whenever you see new quarterbacks that are getting reacclimated into starting games, a lot of times the tight ends become more valuable. So I do expect Jonnu Smith out of FIU to potentially have a bust-out game, win or lose. But unfortunately for the Dolphins, this loss of Tua is really going to be a tough one. I think the only way the Dolphins are able to pull this thing off is their defense will have to take care of business. And I'm just not sure that they're up to task. Zach Charbonnet will be getting the start for Seattle. I'm going to say it's going to be close, but I've got the Seahawks winning this thing 24-20. I think Skylar Thompson will make some plays, but not enough for the dub. And Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill. He will find a way to produce.
I agree 100%. Because with Tua, when you have a certain quarterback in it, and Tua's no scrub. You might have a soft head, but he's no scrub. And Tua, Charbonnet, and I mean, they just all have that chemistry. Tua knows where Waddle's going to be. Tua knows where Hill's going to be. Tua's a left-handed quarterback, and everyone knows the spin is a little different, and everything comes up. Yeah.
You're a former boxer.
Yeah.
So similar.
I was a lefty too. Yeah, I was a lefty.
Similar to what a lot of boxing coaches would say, even with the quarterback coaches. lefties do things a little backwards, so to speak.
Exactly.
And backwards doesn't mean incorrect. It just means that they are a smaller minority of athletes that use that particular hand.
Right.
But the best of the best in terms of the boxing realm can pose many, many a problem. Now, as far as quarterbacks go, what's interesting about the left-handed thing is that only Steve Young has won a Super Bowl being a left-handed quarterback.
Right.
So when I see people kind of go absurd about wanting to draft lefties, I'm like, this is a league that is over half a century old in terms of the Super Bowls. Older than that, but just Super Bowl era, almost 60 years worth of Super Bowls, and only one lefty has won it. I'm not discriminatory against lefties, but I must say, if I'm a GM, it would make me question if that's the way I want to go.
Well, and see, a lot of receivers say a lefty thrown it to you is different because that spin is different. You know, when you're used to catching a ball a certain way, and it's coming the other way, you know, to where a righty, that ball is spinning clockwise. When you throw a lefty, it's spinning counterclockwise. So if you're catching it on the left side of you, the ball is actually spinning away. You know, and I like Skylar Thompson, man, but it's just a whole different thing, a whole different dynamic with them. And then in Seattle's ready to play. You're going against the 12th man up there, man.
You're going against the 12th man, and you're going against a team that's smelling blood, because part of making the playoffs and part of catching the proper breaks is a little bit of luck. Sometimes you play teams that are not their best, and sometimes you play in a division where teams are hurting.
Yeah.
So what's your final here?
I'm going to go 24-20, man.
All right, so we're on board.
Yeah, Seattle.
Yeah, and, Seattle's taking advantage of injuries, and this is a perfect segue, and I actually did not do this on purpose. It just happens the way the games appear on the schedule, but, this is the game where everybody's missing. The 49ers at 1-1 in SoCal, taking on the Rams 0-2. Both of these preseason powerhouses are trying to nurse many injury. In the Rams' case, they're missing Cooper Kupp as well as Puka Nacua, just to name a couple. Yeah. 49ers are missing all kinds of talent. You got CMC on the IR. I believe Debo's not going to be suiting up for this.
Yep.
Yeah. Kittle, I believe, is banged up as well.
Yep.
This is a very difficult game to forecast because I say to myself, we know who's missing, but out of the guys that are playing, who do I feel better about?
Yeah.
I still got to take the Niners.
Yeah.
Why am I taking the Niners? Because I think their offensive line, with the exception of McKivitz, who is literally their weak link, probably is still better than what the Rams are offering. And the 49ers, for the most part, outside of Dre Greenlaw's injury going back to last year's Super Bowl, their defense is decently intact.
Right.
I'm expecting a defensive struggle here. I don't think you're going to see a lot of points getting put on the board. This could be something in the low 20s, high teens. But I'm going to go the road team here, not just because of the fact that they have been good and constantly making NFC title games, but Shanahan has had the number of McVay for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
With the exception of that NFC title game.
Yeah.
I like the Niners in a close one. I think Brock Purdy will do enough, just enough to win. I think the Rams are going to play hard. I just don't think they got enough working for them. I got the Niners winning by 3, 20-17. I think we're looking at a very low-scoring game here.
Yeah, everything you said. I think Brandon Ayuk, Mr. $30 million man, you got to step up.
Yes, you do.
This is your chance to show that you got paid and you deserve the money, because Debo's down, CMC is down.
That's correct.
He is banged up. I think they'll still get a lot of Kittle. I think he'll still get a lot of catches because he's basically the number one option.
Kittle's banged up too.
Yeah, I know. But I
don't even know if he's playing tomorrow. Let me go check this.
We might need to check that out. Yeah, check that out. Because if he's not playing, it's up to Ayuk, man. Period. You got to show up. however way you have to do Debo when he was playing running back and receiver a few years ago. You have to do it all.
He didn't practice yesterday.
Whew.
That is not good.
That's not good.
And you got defensive end Clennon Farrell, who's also being ruled out of this one.
Oh man,
18 hours, not spotted to practice. Experience. Oh, forget it, Idris. He's got tightness in the hamstring. That's a terrible.
Kittle?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's not playing because
that ain't good.
Yeah, you hit that hamstring the first play. Whew. Golly, man, there's gonna be defense. Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say 24-20, but golly, I put this. Frisco's lucky that Nakua and Cutler's not playing because we'll see Sam Darnold again. Like that was like, I'm all pro. I'm gonna go. Whew, I'm gonna go 2017, man.
Yeah, that's the caliber of quarterback that it would take if you have those two healthy. Because the God's honest truth is, I'm worried about Matt Stafford staying on his feet,
right,
being upright. That's the one thing I still give the Niners is that I still think the Niners have a defense that can play a dirty game and win.
Yeah,
an ugly game. Going back to the left-handed thing, one other last thing I wanted to say that makes it tough. You made a good point about the way that the ball comes, but another thing is when you are a lefty, you are throwing and making more movements behind the lesser of your two offensive tackles.
Right.
Because if you look around the NFL, 9 out of 10 times, the best offensive tackle on your team plays on the left side.
On the left side, yep. The blind side, yeah.
Yes, sir. And that's the other part. When you're a lefty, your blind side is your right tackle.
Right.
And if you have the wrong right tackle, for a lefty, that could be terrifying.
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions going into Arizona. Both of these teams are 1-1. The Cardinals, similar to the Seahawks, catch a huge early season push because of the fact that the Niners and the Rams, especially the Rams, are surprisingly struggling in the early going. Marvin Harrison Jr., after being invisible week 1, definitely had a blow-up game. Their tight end, Trey McBride, big game as well. As the Lions go, I need to see more from their defense. I'm not convinced that the Lions, come playoff time, are going to be being in a good position to match up with more of the aerial attacks. Like, say, if Philly gets hot towards the end of the year, they could go vertical on you. Atlanta could go vertical on you. Tampa, they just lost.
Watch out for Minnesota.
Minnesota could go vertical on you. The Lions worry me on that side of the football. I'm not overly worried about them. They didn't have a great offensive output last week, but at the same time, I want to give credit to the Bucs bending but not breaking and making enough plays. And, the Bucs had some extra motivation, It's not easy for the Lions. You play your first 2 games of the year are against 2 teams that you eliminated last year.
Yeah.
But the Lions are fortunate to be 1-1. They could easily be 0-2.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Closing thought. They don't have an answer for Marvin Harrison Jr.
They don't.
And I actually don't think they have an answer for the tight end situation. If the Cardinals are able to run the football, I actually think Detroit's going to have a rough game here.
Yeah. They don't have an answer for Kyler Murray, period.
No, they don't.
He out that backfield. I mean, he'll run. And the thing about Detroit, I mean, any conference game matters. All conference, because that when you got the conference game, that's your tiebreaker when it comes to the division. I mean, were you ranking in the playoffs? Like, are you the first division, champion, second division champion, third, fourth? And the Cardinals, they look good, man. I mean, they look good. They're young and they coach it. I mean, Detroit better watch it. And for my pick, I'm gonna go Arizona, man. The Detroit defense is not enough, and now you got that dynamic with Kyler Murray. I'm gonna go and just look what Baker Mayfield did. He sat one of them guys down, and no one knows Baker Mayfield as a juker. Kyler Murray will juke you. I'm gonna go Arizona. God, I'm gonna go 27-24.
Arizona 27, Detroit 24 is your final. I'm going to go 30-23 in favor of the Cardinals. But I will say this: whoever is able to run the ball at an efficient clip will win this game. And if the game is not as high scoring as me and Idris are calling for, I will give you the exact formula how to make sure that would happen.
Yeah.
It would behoove both of these teams to keep the other quarterback off the field as long as possible, try to shorten the game for each team. And that is, I do want to make this clear, that is part of the reason why last week's Buccaneer-Lions game didn't have more points. And you're seeing it as a growing theme in the NFL this year, where it's not about the power of the offense. It's about less possessions to have an easier path to getting to victories. Because this year, in the early going, the games have been, for the most part, under the league average of total points, with the exception of what the Saints have been doing off the rip.
Yeah, exactly.
So we both got the Cardinals. Idris has them winning by, what was that? You have them winning by
27-20. No, I think it's.
Yeah, you said 27-24.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got them by 3. I got them by 7. We both got them winning, but it's going to be close. And if Detroit loses, I don't think this is something to flip out about. You have a target on your back now. You're considered one of the better teams in the NFC now.
And Arizona's not a bad. We saw last year. They're not a bad team. They just needed a quarterback, stability at quarterback. And when Kyler Murray came back, they looked damn good going down the stretch. So this year, Kyler Murray's back, acclimating the system, got his body right. He got his number one. Look out for Arizona, man.
And one more thing on Kyler Murray, it seems like he's growing as a player in terms of maturity and in terms of preparation, because that was the biggest thing about him in the past, is that he just didn't prepare.
It took that, because you see how Baker Mayfield, the Oklahoma quarterbacks, they're spoiled quarterbacks. All of them that come up, they're all spoiled. Look at freaking Caleb Williams. He came from Oklahoma. They went to USC. It's those Lincoln Riley quarterbacks, they're spoiled, blah, blah, blah. They're big babies. And it takes humbleness to make them say, okay, because Kyler Murray, people got to the point where, you know what, we don't really need you. We'll get rid of you. And he humbles himself down and said, let me play football. Baker Mayfield, damn, I was the number 1 pick. And I'm on my 3rd team or 4th team. I got to get it together.
Yeah. And one thing that I liked about what Kyler Murray did after week 1, a lot of people thought he was being toxic and being a jerk. I didn't see it that way.
I didn't see it, no.
When they got beat by Buffalo, immediately him saying it's not my job to, people take things out of context when he's like, it's not my job to get Marvin Harrison the ball. I think what he meant by that, without speaking for him, is that it's his job to distribute the ball to the best option on any given play.
Right.
And the irony of it is that they lost a close one to a Buffalo team where Josh Allen, in my opinion, has been benefiting from the absence of Stephon Diggs. Yes. Because now you're in a position where you are getting everyone involved and you are confidently leaning more on your running game. You notice how James Cook's numbers have been up through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The defense is playing better. It's been a positive experience early going for the Buffalo Bills and head coach Sean McDermott. McDermott, this is a prove-it year for him, similarly to how it's a prove-it year for Mike McCarthy out in Dallas. But, I like what the Cardinals are doing. And speaking of those Cowboys, they are hosting the winless Ravens. Chris Dixon, 0-2 at the Dallas Cowboys, 1-1.
And J. Bear Jackson, another big mouth.
I'm gonna make this simple.
And my girl Jude, her too.
and my sister out in Amsterdam, April Roman Kelly, big Ravens fan. Sorry, girl.
Let me tell you one more guy. The guy behind the boards, Rich for casual. Let's call him out, man.
Rich for Hand Radio, also a Raven. It's funny. I didn't realize how many people I have messing with this show in Baltimore until I actually thought about it.
Right.
But Mr. Paul's a Dolphin, right?
Who?
Mr. Paul, he's a Dolphin?
Yeah, he's a Dolphin fan.
I thought so. Okay.
Yeah. Smart. Until we started doing podcasts, I knew one Ravens fan my whole life. And he came when the Cleveland Browns were the first, One my whole life.
I know 3. I got a coworker. I've got my sister's man up in Jersey.
Yeah.
And I got my late father's best friend.
Yeah.
Uncle Randy is diehard Raider. He's from the West Coast.
Oh, wow.
All right, so we got the 0-2 Ravens, and I'm going to start with both these teams that are coming off bad losses, one worse than the other. I think what's going on with the Ravens that I kind of forecasted could be a potential problem is that Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, the running game, Lamar is taking more, essentially producing more from the rush than Henry. And I don't necessarily think Derrick Henry feels all the way comfortable being in an offense where he is not the traditional just, forward back. And the bigger problem here, and I've been saying this for a while, you could keep drafting flashy first round or second round draft picks at receiver.
Right.
I don't think I'll put it to you this way. I know Rashad Bateman ain't that dude.
No.
And I'm not convinced that Zay Flowers is that dude.
Flashy.
Yeah, you got Mark Andrews, who is still a quality tight end, but is showing some of the wear.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a guy behind him, Isaiah Likely, that in time might make him expendable. In this situation, not exactly the same, but a little bit reminds me of when Dallas Goedert kind of pushed Zach Ertz out the door in Philly.
Yeah.
But it's a good problem to have when you have 2 quality tight ends. As the Cowboys go, they have a lot to prove this week because right now people are saying which Cowboy team was the real one, the one that played staunch defense and made Deshaun Watson's life hell, or the one that saw Carr basically carve them up and do the Michael Jackson groin yank.
That was a $14,000 well spent.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, if I was in the NFL, I'd probably do one of them.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know if I would necessarily do the peeing dog like Odell.
Oh,
but paying homage.
Michael Jackson was nice, man.
But it was well timed, with the recent passing of big brother Tito Jackson. It was kind of.
Yeah.
As the game goes, it's going to be interesting to see which of these 2 clubs can get their running game going because I think they are both going to be vital to getting the W. But the reason I like the Cowboys to bounce back off the canvas and win this game after getting embarrassed last week is because I still don't think the Ravens defense is who everybody is expecting this year. The loss of Patrick Queen's a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and it's going to continue to be difficult to guard guys over the middle and to keep that separation under control. And I'm expecting a big game out of CeeDee Lamb. I think Dak and CeeDee are going to be cooking. You may very well see a scenario where the Ravens try to open it up, and suddenly you're going to find out that this could be a mini shootout. But the problem is, I don't like the Ravens in a game where they got to chase the other offense. Both kickers can kick the lights out. We know all about that already.
This might be a battle of the best kickers in the league right here. What's your score? I get your score before I tell you what I got.
Yeah, I'm honestly trying to figure if we're going to have a defensive game or an offensive game, and it's kind of flickering in both directions. I have a feeling the Dallas offense is going to be cooking, and I have a feeling the Baltimore Ravens are going to be playing catch up. My final is the Dallas Cowboys 34, the Baltimore Ravens 30, and the Baltimore Ravens are about to be 0-3.
I got a similar score. I'll give it to you when I'm done. I think this game, because Dallas got a hard time stopping a run.
They most certainly do.
I think this is the game that they get a heavy dose of the big man, Derrick Henry. And I think Lamar's going to get 100 out of this, man.
He should.
I think he'll get 100. Oh, getting back to the receivers, Baltimore is built they're built like a team. I say similar to our championship teams with the Giants. You don't need a flashy receiver. You need people who can block, pass block, run block, and decent receivers on the edges, and have a good backfield. I mean, they have Derrick Henry, they have Lamar Jackson. I think that's how they should be. They don't need the flashy guy. They need someone to get 5 yards, 10 yards across the middle. Dink and dunk, as they call it. Let Lamar do what he do. Let Derrick Henry do what he do. Pound, pound, pound. And I think that's what they're going to do to Dallas. I looked at the game over with Dallas and New Orleans, and I saw what New Orleans did with CD. They let CD off the line, but they had a spy out there. I watched it over. I kept. I wish I can just show it on the show. Every time they let CD off the line, and when he made his break, they collapsed on him. They had the perfect, because CD's gonna get his. You can't give him no room for nothing, because he'll smoke you. I'm gonna go 33-30 Baltimore. I think they're gonna get a heavy dose of the groundhog. I think they're gonna get a heavy dose of the groundhog.
I both these kickers are incredible. But yeah, I feel that it's similar to any other thing. It's not that complicated. If the scores are going to be lower than we're projecting, a lot of it has to do with keeping the other offense off the field. I just after that embarrassment, I just have a hard time seeing Dallas losing 2 consecutive home games.
But let me ask you, let's go offense. Do you think we got Derek Carr, we got Lamar Jackson? Lamar Jackson's a better runner. Passer, and I think Carr's a better passer.
Are you just comparing the 2 quarterbacks off the rip? Is there because of what Carr's been doing and what Carr's doing in the early going?
Yeah, I say Carr's a better passer to where Lamar's a better runner, but he has a decent arm. He can throw the ball. He can get the ball outfield. You got Alvin Kamara. You got Derrick Henry. I think they're both at the same point of their careers. I think they both have power. They both have speed.
Are you making this comparison because you think Carr could be an MVP candidate at year's end?
Oh, no. I'm talking about going against Dallas.
Oh, no.
I think he will beat them. I think he will be.
Now, Dak Prescott, as you know, has been an MVP candidate for the better part of the last few years.
Yeah. Oh, you gonna say something?
You don't know necessarily what you're going to get on either side of that.
Yeah, but I'm just going. I think I'm just going to go Baltimore. I just think they're going to pound. But they saw Dallas' weakness. They couldn't stop the run. I think they're going to run, and then hit them deep. Likely.
Yeah. So you're making your motivation for the comparison was the contrast of what Dallas is seeing in the next week scenario.
Yeah, because Dallas, they said they addressed the situation in the middle where they put a big man in the middle to stop the run, but I hadn't seen it yet. Yeah,
because honestly, ever since Sean Lee, Leighton Vander Esch, they haven't really had that.
No.
Or even if you're talking a prime Jalen Smith not before. I mean, he came into the league after leaving these guys.
Yeah.
With the injuries.
Yeah.
He had one last burst with the New York Giants before calling it a career.
Yeah.
So you got Baltimore and I got Dallas. And I'll be honest with you, Idris, neither outcome would truly shock me.
Yeah.
We've got the Sunday night game. The Kansas City Chiefs, who are currently undefeated, narrowly escaping the Bengals, heading to the ATL to take on the Falcons, who are 1-1. The Falcons bounced back in a big way, late drive, which ultimately gave them the opportunity because of a Saquon Barkley drop. All Barkley had to do was turn the corner, and even if he doesn't get the first down, there's a distinct possibility Philly would have went for it on 4th because it would have been 4th and short.
Yeah.
On the other side there, the Falcons were able to get down the field. Some people can blame this on Vic Fangio last week as to why that happened. I'm going to blame him. But at the same time, a turning point in the game, which I don't think too many people mentioned, was when Avonte Maddox had to leave. I think it's softened certain parts of this because, we know what Philly did in the draft to get better in their secondary because it was screaming that they weren't pleased with Slay and Bradbury all the way.
Right.
And I give Howie Roseman credit for addressing that position. Now, back to this game. Kirk Cousins, that's a big hurdle. You win on prime time and you avoid an 0-2 start. The Eagles are going to be just fine in the grand scheme of things. I did pick them to win the NFC East. I stand on that for now. On the opposite side, Isaiah Pacheco is going to be gone for a month. You got Carson Steele getting the start, and Kareem Hunt was recently signed to the practice squad for this Chiefs squad. But this is going to come down to the running game to start. If Atlanta can have decent success with the combination of Robinson and Algier against the Chiefs' very talented front seven, then I think the Falcons actually do have a chance to pick up their first home win. It's week 3. You're 2-0. You're the world champions. This is a week where it could be, quote unquote, a trap game. I don't like calling this a trap game because I think Atlanta's pretty good. But I still like the Chiefs. Because, quite frankly, I don't think the Chiefs are going to make the couple of critical mistakes down the stretch that the Eagles did. That's what separates good teams from great ones. Steve Spagnuolo will cook up something to keep Kirk Cousins under wraps to a level. And no offense, but Kirk Cousins isn't Joe Burrow.
No.
And Kirk Cousins isn't Lamar Jackson, because we saw Lamar Jackson have some success in week 1, although the Ravens did get beat, to my point about them struggling against speed. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, I guess it was encouraging to see these dudes get more involved.
Pitts actually caught passes, man.
No, for sure. But I just think the Chiefs are a better team, and I think they're going to find a way to quiet this Atlanta win and put them back down to earth a little. Chiefs 31, Falcons 24. It will be competitive, but the Chiefs will make the plays that they have to make. And I'm going to call it a couple of Kirk Cousins mistakes that are going to continue to be the Jekyll and Hyde that Atlanta fans are going to be accustomed to seeing. The world champions win this one by a touchdown.
Last time these two teams played each other, I was at Atlanta. When me and my boy Lamont went down there.
Okay.
Yeah, I wore my Giants jersey. And excellent end to the game. Atlanta was getting ready to drive to score and pick 6. KC won. Everything you said, man. I think Kirk Cousins, he's not going to run. You know, he's still coming off that injury. Yeah, I know he's healed, but he's never been the type of guy who's going to run the ball, 10 times anyway. He runs when he has to run, and that's not often. You got Algiers, you got Bijan Robinson, so you don't have to run the ball unless you're under pressure. But both those guys can block. Kyle Pitts and Drake London, yeah, they finally coming up. They're finally looking like they're supposed to be. I think because they got the quarterback to throw them the ball. They got a veteran quarterback. But they don't have enough to go against the Chiefs. Patrick, I learned my lesson. The one time I ever bet against Patrick Mahomes, I lost. I won't bet against Patrick Mahomes again. They got enough receivers to get the job done. Of course, you know who they got back there. That other brother. the Eagles brother. That's what I call the other brother. God. Yeah, I think they're going to go back down to ATL. I'm going to go 31-20. 31-20. I think that 20 will be more like a field goal to catch up in the end. It's KC, man. Spags knows how to dial up them defenses.
Yes, Spags has been so assignment sturdy with ever-changing, ever-evolving different matchups, and I got to say, he is the best at what he does in the NFL.
I wish we can bring him back to New York, man.
Yeah, not going to happen.
I never wanted him to leave, man.
I think they should have actually gave him a crack at head coach because I don't think he got the fairest shot when he was coaching the St. Louis Rams. I will say this. For the upset to go down, and if it will go down, the one thing Atlanta has going for them is with the unfamiliarity possibly with Carson Steele coming in and trying to be what he could be. If they can basically stymie and make the Chiefs one-dimensional, they will have a shot. I just have an honest faith that the Chiefs are going to be able to run the ball well enough.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion because I have that kind of opinion of what the Chiefs bring at the offensive line. We got 2 Monday Night Football games. The first one is going to be going on in Western New York. We've got the boys from Duval heading to Buffalo, 0-2 versus 2-0. This Jaguar offense has essentially gone missing. Christian Kirk is a lost man, which is hard to believe because he was their best receiver last year. Brian Robinson Jr. showing some promise, and they have a newer tight end that is actually looking to outperform Evan Ingram in the near future, and he may very well do that. This is a Jacksonville team that historically has given the Buffalo Bills fits. And, as the Bills go, I kind of touched on them earlier talking about the Josh Allen thing. Josh Allen is playing, I wouldn't say mistake-free football, but damn close to it.
Be specific with Josh Allen. No, I'm joking.
Oh, that's true. That is a meeting that we might see more than a couple of times with super stud linebacker Josh Allen of the Jaguars, and we all know Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. I personally believe that Buffalo will keep the good times rolling. Yeah. They will improve to 3-0. And I need to believe that Jacksonville's offense is going to get better. And until I actually see them with the eyes improve their offense over the course of a game, I have literally no reason to believe that these guys are going to be okay. I've got the Buffalo Bills winning this thing comfortably enough. I'm going 30 Buffalo, 20 Jacksonville. Jacksonville will play a little better on offense, but not nearly well enough to beat the Bills. And I'm expecting James Cook and Josh Allen to each do their thing on the ground.
Yeah, I want to see Josh Allen sack Josh Allen, though. That's the only thing I want to see. But, yeah, same thing. Jacksonville, I don't know. You know how I've always felt about Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. I would say they underachieve each year. I think Trevor Lawrence, I said when he came out of college, I say he's a good quarterback, but he's not as great as people said he was. An interception is an interception, and he threw a lot of it in Clemson, and he continues to do it into his, fourth year now? Something like that, third or fourth year? Third year. And you got a quarterback coach who's there to teach you how to play the game. You got Travis Etienne. Dang, I mean, you're playing in Western New York. You're playing at Buffalo. 34-20 Buffalo. I think Josh Allen's going to have a field day. I think James Cook is going to eat. He's going to – I ain't going to say what I was going to say because it'll be inappropriate.
It sounded like that part where
yeah.
Mike Tyson was revving up cannabis during his second-round knockout shot at LL Cool J.
Yeah.
Before he realized that he made one of the biggest mistakes of his life.
Right, exactly. That's why I said I ain't gonna say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think the score won't be indicative of how the game goes. I think Buffalo just gonna manhandle them, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be real with you. Like a legitimate blowout wouldn't shock me. Yeah. But I do believe that Jacksonville knows what's at stake here, and they're going to compete. It's the weirdest thing because they were my prediction to win this division in the early going. And the reason why I'm not closing the door, even if they start 0-3, is because the Titans haven't done anything to make me worry for them. The Colts are 0-2, and even the Texans have not been incredibly impressive.
They haven't been. So they're not. A loss is not going to hurt them.
No,
I mean, it's not going to bury.
Yeah, it's not. This is the old days where 0-3 is a death nail. Not yet, anyway.
Right.
Monday Night Football. And speaking of Monday Night Football, this came over my feed just a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins is healthy.
Uh-oh.
And he is returning for the Cincinnati Bengals, who are hosting the Washington Commanders.
Uh-oh.
And I think that this is bust-out week for Cincy. I think their offense is going to really get into a different kind of drive with Higgins being back on the field. Washington, because listen, if our Giants scored 3 touchdowns against this Washington team, what is the Cincinnati Bengals going to do? I'll tell you what they're going to do. They're going to put up a 40-burger on these guys, and they're going to win convincingly and comfortably. Cincinnati Bengals 41, Washington Commanders 20. They're going to beat them down. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are both going to go off in this one.
Before I heard T. Higgins coming back, I had it like 34-20 or 30-20. But now that he's back, I'm going to say the same thing. 41-20. Yeah, T. Higgins and Chase. Yeah. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. That's all I got to say on that game. 2 blowouts on Monday night. Well, 2 beatdowns on Monday night.
Yeah, I got it a little closer with Buffalo than I do with Cincinnati, but we got them both going down. Before we get out of here, non-football related, but I wanted to speak on a couple of things. The New York Yankees, after putting Clay Holmes out of the closing role and just as a contributor from the bullpen, the dividends have been paying off in the form of Luke Weaver looking like the guy now. And it couldn't have come at a better time. Yankees last night, their offense was in a slumber for majority of the game, but they came back huge in the 10th inning, winning the game 4-2 over a very pesky Oakland Athletics team who was basically driving their time out of Oakland. And I got to give a shout out to the A's fans yesterday, because even though they are far out of it, and even though they are changing cities, they brought it yesterday. You got a decent amount of Yankee fans, as you are anywhere the Yankees go, but the Oakland Athletic fans brought a great energy to that game. But the New York Yankees, as the season moves along, are distancing themselves now in a healthy way from Baltimore. The magic number is 5 to win the East. And for the first time, probably since the beginning of June, I believe the New York Yankees are doing enough to make me believe that they actually can win the World Series this year.
You know, the thing about the Yankees, and I'm so glad, because I think I had them second this year in the AL in a wild card.
I picked the Orioles to win that division going in.
Yeah, we both did, yeah. And I'm proud of this team because we fought through a lot this year.
Indeed.
Pitching, health on the bats. The bats wouldn't.
Cole missed half the season.
He missed half the season. And that's
he was phenomenal last night, by the way.
Yes, he's our ace, and we still
99 pitches over 9 innings, 11 pitches an inning. That was incredible.
That's what you call economics.
Only giving up 2 hits.
That's what you call being economical.
1 run on 2 hits. The fourth time he's gone the distance for the Yankees, and the only time that he's gone the distance for the Yankees and actually gave up an earned run. The Athletics, let me tell you.
Yeah.
They got a nice young nucleus moving forward if they handle their business correctly. They play hard. I will give the Athletics that.
I give them that. Dude, you know what? That team, I thought they would just tank it out like, we're not going anywhere. We're going to move to Vegas. The hell with this. They played their ass off this year for a team that couldn't fill the stands. And damn, I mean, I got to give it to them, man. The fans that showed up, night in and night out, man. They didn't finish in last place. They didn't lose 100 games.
No, they're not far from actually being good again. And with changing cities, they're going to be getting a bigger push to to actually be more relevant.
Yeah, they wasn't the worst team, and you would think they would have been the worst team in the AL or in the major leagues, but there was a lot of teams far worse than them. Them boys came to play.
The White Sox still are in danger of going down of being the worst team of all time. Like literally, like the worst team ever, and that is a different standard of ineptitude. Shohei Ohtani,
man,
I'm going to tell you why 2 nights ago was the greatest performance singularly. There's other guys.
Yeah.
There's other guys.
51.
Tony Lazzari, Mark Whitten. You have other guys, Sean Green, other guys that had phenomenal games.
Yeah.
But the reason why what Shohei Ohtani did, becoming the first member of the 51 club, 10 RBI game, to the home run value of it, which was just insane. But the reason why what he did is more impressive to me than what anybody ever did before is that to do that when you are already recognized as possibly the greatest athlete in the sport of baseball, that brings more pressure. When you look at what happened in the offseason with the interpreter thing and things of that nature, where your character's getting questioned.
Yeah.
It's that kind of pressure. And you know that I used to go back and forth with Zappy and rib each other about who's better and this and that. I'm not saying he's better than Aaron Judge this year, because I think Aaron Judge is the better offensive player in the metric of hitting home runs. Now, granted, they're only a couple of home runs away this year.
Yeah.
Ohtani is the better dual threat. And to be honest with you, if you're getting 50 bags and 50 home runs a year, there is no reason to ever pitch again.
Right.
And personally, I don't think pitching is necessarily going to be on the menu moving forward. Right. But when people are like, "Oh, he's just a DH and da-da-da," no, he's not. He's a lot more than that.
Right.
If there was only one MVP, if there was only one MVP, and if it wasn't divvied up by leagues, just to show that I'm not a homer, I would actually choose Ohtani over Judge because of the stolen base value.
Right. And that's crazy, dude.
But we have two MVPs. We have an American League one and we have a National League one. But the Dodgers as a team still have to prove it in October.
That's it. But I think for the MVPs, you got to go Shotani. I call him Shotani.
Yeah, with good reason.
You got to give it to Shotani in the NL, and I'm going to go Judge in the AL. I'm not being a homer with Judge, but come on, man, 53 home runs. I really thought he was going to knock 60 this year. But I'll take 53. He contributed to so, and our team is winning. We're going to the playoffs. We got a chance to win a division, and no one thought we were going to win the division. I'm cool with that.
What's up, Ma?
What's up?
Yeah, Los Angeles Dodgers have every answer for any situation imaginable. Walker Buehler recently got healthy. This team is loaded. It's just a matter if they could get it done. When I think about the National League layout and who actually matches up good with the Dodgers, I think it goes without saying that you always got to account for the Padres.
Oh, yeah.
The Phillies are not going to be an easy out for anyone in the playoffs. And I got to tip my hat to our little brothers in Queens. The New York Mets, it's cool to see them relevant again. And this is an interesting thing about the Mets. They currently hold rights to the final wild card position. However, during these last couple of weeks of the season, they have the toughest schedule down the stretch.
Right on.
And they're coming off a tough one, getting banged around by Philly. But I think the Mets have a different look to them that can pay dividends in October. And the weird thing about this particular season is that you're not going to have anybody winning 100 games. Last thought of the night, or day, I should say. Juan Soto. You know, they took the righteous precaution. Didn't give him the start yesterday because he had a little scare in the outfield. He comes off the bench, drives in the big hit in extras, gets to first base, then gets pitch ran for.
Yeah.
Listen, we all know what Aaron Judge brings, but Juan Soto is just such a showman and a true lover of the game of baseball. That man loves baseball.
We got to win it in Soto, man. That was our big pickup, and he paid dividends. Yeah, he's
he might be the second best player on the team. He might be the first best player on the team because when I value that, I say to people, what do we value? What makes one better than the other?
Right.
To be frank, it's always a decent conversation, and it's a good one to have because if you have two of the top 5 hitters in all of baseball in the same lineup, you have a young Anthony Volpe who is still learning, but is gradually getting better. You bring in the Energizer Bunny in the form of Jazz Chisholm. Damn, dog, that sounded like one of those Wu-Tang mixtapes for a second.
Oh, you heard that? That's my niece calling it. How you know you heard that? It actually is.
No, the way I said it. Remember that dude? Funk Master Flex night. Funk Master Flex. You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I did not. Usually it don't. That's the first time. Usually it doesn't come in. I'm doing something on my phone. I was shocked that you heard that.
No, it sounded kind of dope. Like almost like it was.
It was a Wu-Tang Day, actually. What about the Atlanta Braves? What happened?
Injuries, man. Spencer Strider, Ronald Acuna Jr. And, you got some pitchers that on the wrong night of the week just get shelled. It's hard when you lose your best pitcher and your best offensive player. That's what happened.
Yeah,
But they are still in the mix to sneak in, but the Mets might come off.
I hear a lot of Mets fans. Yeah, they're like just right outside the wild card. So it's not conceivable that they won't get there.
I'll tell you one thing: it would be a very tough pill for Met fans to swallow. The Braves catch them because of just the domination that the Braves have always had over them, going back to the Maddox era.
Just 2 games. And you know how I feel about the Mets, and I love to troll the Mets, and I'm happy for them. If they get in, great. Because well, hate aside, anytime a New York team has a chance to win the championship for New York, I'm like, even with the Jets, I never had any hate for the Jets though. And when you have New York celebrate Times Square, the confetti, I'm cool with that. I may not like the Mets, but I'm New York all the way. I don't like the Islanders. Forget them. I don't want them. I don't even see them as New York. That's just me. That's just me. I don't see them New York. But Mets fans, chill. Because the Braves are only 2 games behind you.
Yeah, the Mets just got to take it literally a day at a time. I do believe that they have the right leadership, and the right personnel to navigate through that very difficult schedule. And speaking of difficult schedules, I alluded to the fact that nobody is going to win 100 games this year. But what's interesting is the New York Yankees have the best record against teams over 500, while having a pedestrian record against teams with losing records. And some people will bitch, moan, and complain. And you know what I say to that? There ain't nobody bad playing in the playoffs.
Exactly. If you beat the best in the regular season and you can't beat the scrubs, you don't have to worry about that in the postseason because the scrubs are not going to be there.
And it is a little encouraging that the Yankees towards the end of the year are starting to play better at home. We need that, especially when you're in a position to be the 1 seed.
Yeah. I'm proud of this team this year. I really am. Of all seasons since our World Series, I'm proud of this team right here.
I'm legitimately concerned. I'm legitimately concerned about the pen in the playoffs, but I do like what I'm seeing from Luke Weaver thus far. And I'll be honest with you. I think Clay Holmes getting out of that 9th frame might actually help him be a better contributor. I still want to see that consistent number 3 man. Sometimes it's Austin Wells. Sometimes it's Anthony Volpe. But I think the closest to being the most consistent number 3 is probably going to be Jazz Chisholm.
Yeah.
I really like that young man, and I'm really happy that he got out of Miami and is finally playing meaningful baseball because he is one of the best personalities in the sport. And what a phenomenal ambassador to be Bohemian. It's a really cool story. His grandmother played until she was in her 60s, and she was the woman who taught him the game of baseball.
That's crazy, man.
Pretty damn cool.
For my final thought, how about them Red Sox? Y'all don't disappoint me. I said you guys are finished under 500, and you're almost there.
Tom Sullivan, if you still watch my show, I'm sorry, but it is what it is with those Red Sox.
Joe North, Edwin, Matthew Weeks. Sayonara.
Anything else?
That's it with me.
Last thing we're coming up on. We touched on this on the Casual Convo. We'll hit on it one more time here. Idris, is it really over for P. Diddy, or will he find a way to dance through the rain yet again? It's over?
He won't be slipping and sliding away this time.
Well, it depends how much baby oil he would use.
It's a wrap. The best thing for him to do is sing to the feds and hope they cut his time. Because
I believe that because of the network, he may very well play that angle. Will he in any way, shape, or form, because of the simultaneous trial going on with Keefe D, finally be held accountable for the death of not only Tupac Shakur, but for his own artist, the Notorious B.I.G., a.k.a. Christopher Wallace?
I think that's going to come into play. He's going to have to speak. He's going to have to talk.
I have a theory, sir. I have a theory, sir. When it comes to this country and their steady thirst for famous deaths, if Combs can put all the arrows together for Biggie and Pac, I think he will not die in jail. Just my opinion.
I agree.
Because I'm not saying celebrity lives are more important than non-celebrity lives, and there's a lot of celebrities involved. But the infatuation and everything that comes with those two artists, if you can, just like with the Keefe D shit, if you can give the right answers on that and line it up all together, he will be reduced to a level where he might be old, but he'll still have a little time in his life to be out.
Hey, show. You never know, because see, look at Sammy the Bull Gravano. He killed a lot of people. He only did a few years.
I'll tell you what, though.
I
tell you what, though. I have more respect for Sammy Gravano than I could ever have for P. Diddy.
Oh yeah,
because
Sammy, they turned over Gravano. He's like, look, I'm telling everything there.
Yeah, another show for another day, and that would be a great. That would be a great thing. That would be a great topic as well.
We talk about
sports. He got some very fascinating interviews with Sammy. So that'll be something to think about on an upcoming show. Until next time, I am Richie for Idris. Thank you so much for watching. Announcements to come for our next show, and we will also be getting into a playoff preview show for the American and National League once all of baseball is finished. Go Yankees, go Irish, and Giants, just play a little better, please.
Down goes Boston.